Jonah chapter 1, verse 16. Then the men feared the Lord Yahweh exceedingly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord Yahweh, and made vows. Now after praying to Jonah's God, the men reluctantly threw Jonah overboard. And then the storm died down, just like Jonah had said that it would if they did this. Well, now they were convinced that Jonah's God was indeed the true God, and they submitted their lives to him. Now, if the Lord Yahweh was going to bless them with any more days of life, then they were going to let their lives belong to the Lord Yahweh. It's interesting how verse 16 is worded to describe the actions of these men. A literal translation of verse 16 says something like this: They feared a fear, and they sacrificed a sacrifice, and they vowed a vow. Now, this was sort of a poetic way of describing how these men had encountered the Lord Yahweh and how he had changed their hearts. Were they absolutely sincere in their devotion to God here? In other words, did they forsake all other gods? Or did they add the Lord Yahweh to a list of other gods that they believed in? Well, I like to think and lean toward believing that they had a true conversion. But at the end of the day, there's just not enough in the text to be 100% sure about their conversion. Interestingly, Jonah tried to frustrate and change God's plans, but God simply countered by frustrating and changing Jonah's plans. As we see from Jonah's example, running away from God only makes things worse. However, when we find ourselves falling into this kind of behavior, we should always remember that there's hope in God. God can always bring something good out of something bad. In the case of Jonah, we learn later that God gives him a second chance to obey him by going to preach to the people of Nineveh. In the case of the sailors, it appears that God used an encounter with this rebellious Jonah to spiritually save a godless group of men. Don't run away from God, but don't give up on the hope of his mercy, even during times when you do run away. Do you remember a time when God used a messed up situation in your life and brought something good out of it? As you meditate on this passage, I want you to think about how God always shows mercy to those who sincerely turn away from their wrongdoings, that is, repentance, and to those who trust in Jesus for deliverance. Think about that throughout your day. And as you respond in prayer to this passage, tell God that you like his mercy. Thank him for his mercy towards you. This is praise. And ask God to help you to never doubt or give up on his mercy. And step out in faith. Sincerely call on God for mercy and forgiveness today, anytime he points out a sin in your life. And be confident that his mercy brings peace of mind.